Conference media days are upon us. That's right. SEC Media Days started today. That's what we'll be diving into. It's your boy, Coach I, Fanatic Sports Network. We back in the building. SEC snap count going on today, man. We're going to talk about LSU, South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Vandy. That's right. Listen, man, if you're new to the channel, we talk all things SEC around here, football and basketball primarily. So y'all make sure y'all hit that like button, tap in with us, and bring a friend, tell a friend to tell 10 more friends that's SEC fans or just college football fans and come and join us, man. So without further ado, let's jump into these SEC Media Days. All right, man. Like I say, man, it's your boy Coach I. Man, I've been on the hiatus for a little bit, but you know, SEC Media Days mean football is right around the corner. We're gonna get this thing started, man. I got a couple of my guys in here gonna come on and we're gonna chop it up, man. About the SEC Media Days. Is first up, as you know, it's your guys, the Stat Guy. What's going on, Stat Guy?
Hey, what's good tonight, Coach? Hey, SEC Media Days. Me and you always talk about it. Once we make it through, get to the media day coverage kicking off. Football is right around the corner, and we can start talking some real ball.
That's right, man. Your South Carolina Gamecocks are up to bat today. We're going to touch on that. Coach Beamer out there filibustering, you know what I'm saying, like he normally does. Let's bring our other guy in, man. This is a guy y'all already know. Y'all see me. Y'all normally see him, whether it's Respect the Hedge. It's just my damn opinion. Fanatic, don't matter, man. It's our guy, Shawty Parker. What's going on, Shawty?
Gentlemen, what's happening?
Football almost here. Shawty, how you feeling, man?
Man, you know, happy to be here like usual, man. But, you know, it's that time of the year, man, SEC Media Day. You know, all the coaches out there really like car salesmen, man. They're trying to get some money.
Facts. They definitely trying to get that money, man. Listen, the first up today, man, was LSU. Coach Kelly. They got one of the biggest games in week one in all of college football. Week one actually kind of stacked. I mean, while we talking about it, but they got one of the bigger games, I think. And from an LSU perspective, I think even though it's not a conference game, that Clemson game at Clemson, that means a lot for LSU considering he's been the coach now. This is going on his fourth year, but in his previous three, he's lost the opener, and then they lost the opener the year before him. So they haven't won an opener since 2019. So that's not where you want to be as a LSU. So Stat Guy, man, did you get a chance to check out Coach Kelly or Nussmeier or linebacker Whit Weeks today, and what you think about their comments?
I think the most interesting thing to me, and I like Brian Kelly's response to it, but we see so many dumb questions during the media days. I just wish these journalists would maybe change how they ask the question or ask a question that could get a good answer instead of just some coach speech. But my man asked what they're doing to prepare week one for Clemson. Like, Brian Kelly was going to give up anything from that apple tree. But, you know, he hit them with they got some tiger paws on the weight bags in the gym or whatever. I enjoyed the response. I wish I think there's ways to reword that question to get him out of the rabbit hole a little bit and draw him out to give you a little bit of candy. But other than that, Nussmeier seemed poised. I really like the Weeks kid. I didn't get to see any of his interviews because by the time that they started doing that, you know, my boy, the future Senator Shane Beamer was already out there. But Nussmeier seemed poised, is I guess how I would phrase his interview. I mean, he's been there for 19 years, it feels like, so he should seem poised.
Right. Shawty, what about you, man? You catch any of the LSU contingent at SEC Media Days this morning on the radio or anything?
I saw Kelly, man. You know, I'm gonna say this, man. You know, first off, you know, I think Kelly is a great coach, good coach.
I'm with you.
But the fit, I tell you, is just not there. just sitting there listening to him at the podium, man. It's just like, dude, like it just doesn't sound genuine, you know, at all. You know, I don't. It's like I don't know if that's his personality. I don't know what it is, but the fit is not there. But he seemed to be putting some things in motion. I do think, you know, this is his time to do it. If he don't do it this year, it's a good chance that if he's not on the hot seat, he will be gone after this year. Yeah. But they got to do something that unfortunately, that even we couldn't do last year. They got to learn how to run the football.
Right.
And if he can do that with Nussmeier, who I did just saw just a little bit of him, he can do that. I like Nussmeier this year. I think he's going to be a good kid, great kid for the program this year. I think he's going to take him far, man. But Kelly, I just don't think the right fit for the program. And that place recruits itself.
Man, and you are definitely right. LSU definitely recruits itself, and they have a lot of talent in the state of Louisiana, which they typically like 90% just go straight to LSU, which is why they, they just put out receivers year after year after year. But the talk says, as far as the talking heads at SEC media, they said the pressure already on Kelly, and he say, the part I got to see with the LSU radio show, it's like he knows it, and I guess it's better to acknowledge it than to act like it ain't there. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because I think, like I say, if you go back to that first game with Clemson, I think if Clemson lose, it's not a big, it might take a little wind out of the sails for them for a little bit, but then they run straight through the ACC. Everything's okay. If LSU lose that first game and then you go into, what I'm saying? It's like it's another opener loss. Going to the SEC, Brian Kelly, can he get it done? Like you say, he ain't had no. Well, it ain't just Brian Kelly, but they ain't had no defense since defense was at LSU. I don't know what's going on. Like you say, the run game been suspect at best, and it's a lot of pressure out there.
I was gonna say, hopefully, I think their defensive coordinator second year, and like most coaches, we generally say that's when they have that biggest jump. Kids kind of more familiar with the calls and the defense, so. Hopefully, they can take, because they're going to have a top 5 offense. Clearly, they keep a top 5 offense.
Right.
If they can just play a little bit better on defense, who knows? They might get that 10-win season.
They might. Now Kelly did say he believe in that old line, so that might go to what you're talking about with that with the running game. So one thing that he said on the LSU radio show that didn't have to do per se with the season is he said he believes some form of OTAs is coming to college football. Like the volunteer. I think they kind of do a little bit of that now, don't they already?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, in the off season, but I guess he was saying like a formal. They're gonna have it every year. You know what I'm saying? I guess I don't know how OTAs is ran in NFL, but that's what he was talking about. What you think about that, Stat Guy?
Man, I don't know why they'd even call it that, because any kid better know to get his butt there. Like first of all, if you get any type of money, I'm sure that it's contracted that you're there.
Right.
Well, second of all, even if you're not getting like a whole bag, you just getting some nickels or dimes, but like, man, these dudes are trying to move up the depth chart. What you look like not going to that. I know with the NFL, the big thing about with some of those OTAs in the offseason is they're player led. And so maybe that's what they're talking about doing. But just either open the window to give more practice or whatever. But every kid's going to be there. You'd be dumb not to go to it. It just wouldn't make sense not to go to it.
I mean, technically they are voluntary. Shawty, when you was playing, did they have voluntary and then people don't show up for voluntary? Because technically it's voluntary, but you better be getting that work.
And that's what I'm getting at. We really already have that, man. You can just call it a different thing, but we already have that. Basically, coaches can't be out there. You know what I'm saying, at the time when we out there. But just to be honest, if you're a top program, you know what I mean, you're a Power 4 program, you ain't going nowhere, no way. Not for long, no more than 2 weeks. Right. You're gonna be on campus. So you know what I'm saying? You ain't going nowhere. They ain't going nowhere. So it ain't gonna really be no different. It ain't gonna be no different.
From like when you played and then like kind of just prognosticating about the guys today, is there ever a problem getting some people to show up for them voluntary? Like maybe some receivers don't show up for the the quarterback passing and all that.
But to your point, it's voluntary, but it ain't voluntary. You know what I'm saying? It's mandatory, but they use the word voluntary. They're just like coaches can't be out there. But you don't think your coach ain't here in the office, sitting there looking down on the field at everything you're doing? Come on.
Right. Got you. So, I like it to your point. They already do something like that. They just don't call it OTAs. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but I think he was saying maybe they're gonna start labeling it that. The linebacker with Weeks, he said something. He said, "I want to play the best every week." He said, "You got to beat the best to be the best." And he said, "I don't want to start out." Oh, he said, I don't want to start the season out. They asked him about the Clemson game. He said, I want to start out the season lollygagging. I want to come out in the fist fight first week. I'm like, what? Y'all been in the fist fight every first week one the last couple of years, and y'all ain't won none of them fist fights. So he seemed like he ready. He's saying the right thing. He do seem like one of them little junkyard dog, type linebackers. So he's saying all the right stuff. They got Perkins out there. What we doing with Perkins this year? Shawty, is he gonna be back to freshman Perkins? Why they can't figure out what to do with this kid?
So first of all, I think the first year they had him, they did what they should have done, which is just let the kid go play football.
Right.
They assumed him coming back, he was going to be so much smarter. They stood him up and tried to let him run around and do a lot of other things as opposed to going to get the quarterback.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So now I'm hoping that they don't, figure it out and just find that good, happy medium. But for the most part, this kid supposed to be going to get the quarterback. Don't have him dropping all out in the zones and you know what I'm saying? Trying to be this multi-layer football player. Let the man go get some sacks and get that money.
Facts, and you got Weeks there, who's preseason all conference stat. So you thinking the same thing with Perkins? Just let him go get the quarterback and stop trying to make him do so much outside linebacker covering space type stuff.
Yeah, I mean, first year just kept it real simple: see ball, get ball. Mm-hmm. And then last year, because of the first year he had, he was like preseason All-American. Like there's all this hype around him, and then, whether it was team need or whatever, but he played some interior last year. He played some edge, but primarily was playing linebacker, and he just looked lost. But I've heard that they shut that down after last year and said heading into this year, hand it in the dirt. That's what they were going to do. What would make him the best football player because they felt it would make them a better team, which is true. Like if you play somebody out of position and you lose production from them, maybe they're a little bit better than what else you would have at that position. But because of the main production you're losing from them, your team's actually not better.
Right. I felt like it hurt their team in it anyway. Like they should have realized that like halfway through the season or whatever. I'm like, when he's rushing the passer, their defense is better. And this is a defense that returns 64% of their starting production or returning production, I should say. That's in the 2 deep. And then, like Shawty said earlier, Blake Baker, I think is his name, the DC. This is his second year. So if they can get they don't even got to be elite on defense, to be honest with you. I don't think so. I think with the way they offense be putting up numbers for the most part, if they in like the top 25 or so, I think they're good. They ain't got to even be a top 10 defense. So before we move on to South Carolina, Stat, give me your projection for what you think LSU is. LSU an 8-4 team, or they got a shot to make the playoffs?
They got to beat Clemson if they want to make the playoffs. They got too many games in the SEC that they can lose. And if you start off 0-1 before you even head into the SEC, it means now you have to make it to Atlanta or you're not going to have a shot at the playoffs. But I got LSU sitting in that 9-3 range. I think that I'm just going to take them right in the middle. I think 8-4 is floor, 10-2 ceiling, and I don't think they hit either. I think they just coast to a 9-3 disappointing season, as disappointing as a 9-3 season can be, which it is for them because they have playoff aspirations.
Shawty, you agree with that, or you high on old Kelly and LSU this year?
Well, I will say to that point, Stat guy, just depending on how that schedule look and how them wins and losses for 9-3 might get you in the playoffs. I'm saying it might.
It might depend. Depends.
But Baker's got them at 9.5 this year. I mean 8.5 this year. So I'm kind of with Stat guy. They're in there between 8 to 9 win season on. But if everything goes well, I can definitely see them with a ceiling of 10 wins for sure.
So let's say this last question on it. If they go 8-4 regular season, but they beat Clemson, beat and then have one other signature win, whether that be Auburn or Alabama, is Brian Kelly. His seat heating up 8-4.
He might be gone.
Ooh.
I think if they go 9-3 this year, there's heat heading into next year. Just because of the talent. I mean, bro, they have the best wide receiver room in the country with a legit NFL quarterback calling the shots. Their O-line is nice. If they don't make it the playoffs, they're calling for Brian Kelly's head starting next year, and he better not have a bad loss next year, or he's going to be looking for another job.
He may not make it back with 8-4, coach. He might not make it back.
That's tough living. That's tough living. But there it is, man. Listen, Brian Kelly said at Media Days that he knows the pressure's on there, and he knew what he was signed up when he took signed up for when he took the job. If you're just not joining us, man, it's the Coach I, the fan addict, was shouted from Just My Damn Opinion, the stat guy. We talking SEC Media Days. Listen, man, second up to the microphone was the guy who always takes the longest on the introduction in his speech, and that was Coach Beamer. I was like, look, man, I'll tell you what, if nothing else, Coach Beamer love to talk, dog. So Stat, we're gonna let you start out, man. Give me your overall thoughts on Beamer and what he said today. I got some points that if you don't hit on, I'll jump on it too.
Yeah, I mean, just to start with like the lame of it. Like, why is he mentioning going to school with Michael Vick? What's that got to do with oranges and apples? I know they asked him about Lenore Sellers and how do you let him play but still play within the offense. That ain't got nothing to do with you going to school with Michael Vick. Cool, I'm glad you got to pat yourself on the back, but come on, dog. Like, it's stuff like that just drives me crazy being a Beamer fan. Other than that, the thing that I like the most was the shout out he gave to the defensive lineman, Nick Barrett, that was one of the 3 players that came to Media Days, who redshirted his senior year, knowing how deep we were at defensive tackle, so he could come back the following year and start. Now, some people's like, oh, that's an easy decision. Y'all were deep at that position. But, man, to redshirt your senior year after playing the first 3 to then come back, like that's a grown man business decision that takes a lot of kahunas to be able to make. So I wish him nothing but the best anchoring the D-line this year after what we lost.
So, Shawty, what was your thoughts on Beamer and anything he said in his opening monologue, I'm going to call it?
Man, well, I didn't see that particular interview, but I saw him a little bit early before he took the podium.
I got you.
And what I would say about him, man, I honestly like Beamer interview that I saw. I mean, he sounds very confident.
Yes.
And I think he should, because, you know, about what I'm about to say, coming off a 9-4 season, he should. But something that, you know, he spoke about, I think you guys opened up with Vitek this year. Mm-hmm. And he said, and people was like, you know, that's such a big game. He's like, yeah, when I took the job, people don't realize when he took the job, that game had already been scheduled.
Right.
And he was just like, he hoped he even be able to coach that long to coach this game. So that just lets you know what place the program was at. And now where they are coming off a 9-4 season. I think that speaks a lot to whatever he's doing down there. I'm not the biggest fan of him when it comes to X's and O's. But if you get the right people around you, it don't matter. They make you look good, however you want to call it. That's just my opinion. But I'm impressed with them. However, I do think they take a step back this year.
Yeah, I'm with you, Shawty. I thought you could tell Shane Beamer been around the block at SEC Media Days. Again, he is long with it, but he definitely sounds confident in everything he says. He wants to make sure that you know that the culture at South Carolina is about winning and people loving, family atmosphere, things of that nature, all positive things, man. He did mention a couple of things I wanted to ask you guys about. So he mentioned college. They asked him about college football playoff expansion. And he said, do you think they was asking do you want more teams or not? He was like, I'm all for giving more people opportunity, being that, South Carolina was I think it was ranked 14 last year when it came to the top 12. So they just missed the playoffs. He said, but he also want to keep the regular season games meaningful. Shawty, is that something that we worried about with the college football expansion? Like the like once you get to, I don't know, because I think they talking about going to 16 next year or something like that.
I don't think it's gonna happen right now with the way Greg Sankey is talking with him and the guy from the Big Ten. I don't think it's gonna happen right now.
I got you.
Because they can't seem to come together on the format. Sankey wants I think I had it written down. Sankey wants a 5+11 model,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Big Ten they want a 4-4-2-2+1 model. So they can't. Does that make sense? Do I need to break down what that means?
So 5+11, I'm assuming 5 automatic bids and 11 at large. Five being the kind of like they currently do. You know what I'm saying? The conference winner is from the Power Four, and then the group of 5 or whoever the top rated. But the Big Ten just want the 4 auto bids. Now that you gotta break down for me the 4-4.
So what they basically saying is they want to guarantee that the SEC get 4 slots. They want to guarantee the Big Ten get 4 slots. The ACC get 2. The Big 12 get 2 and 1 at large.
So the Big Ten sound like they trying. Man, we gonna jump into it too deep, but they sound like they trying to cut out the group of 5 altogether. Because you got to think that 1 at large is going to be one of the Power 4 teams, unless it's Notre Dame. You know what I'm saying? So
Notre Dame gonna get in there. I don't care how they do it.
Right. So if the Big Ten win, then it's 4 SEC, 4 Big Ten, or 2 Big 12, 2 ACC, and Notre Dame. That's pretty much guaranteeing Notre Dame a spot in every playoff.
And then I think it's like the Big 12 that also would guarantee them more slots to 4.
Right.
Not the Big 12, but I'm sorry, the Big 10 to get 4 slots. I don't think that's the way they construct it right now. They could get 4 teams in the playoff. You know what I'm saying?
I got you. So, Stat, how you feel about expansion of the playoffs? Oh, what's going on, Jason? My bad, my guy. What's going on, Jason? He's checking in. Say how you feeling, Shawty? That's my guy. That's my bad. I had this I had the comments covered up. They are, Coach I. They are. Yep. So, Stat, you think expanding takes away from the regular season if we go to 16?
Eventually, somebody's going to go on a playoff run. We're going to see a team in that 9 or 10 range win it all. They're going to get hot at the right time. Every team they play is going to lose their quarterback, like the NBA playoffs, where everybody gets hurt. Like eventually, we're going to see lightning get caught in a bottle. Mm-hmm. But realistically, as mad as I was of missing the playoffs last year for South Carolina for whatever reasons, why? Not even against expansion. I would love to go down to 8. Like I don't even necessarily like the 12. Right. But that's because I want every single game to mean something. I want you every game in November, every game in October, all these conferences. You shouldn't be able to. I mean, look at Ole Miss. We'll use Ole Miss for example. Took their foot off the gas, thought they could limp through Florida, and just back their way into the playoffs at 10-2. Ended up getting beat. Like, if
can I say 2 things to you, Stat? When you finish, go ahead. My bad.
Yeah, I'm good. Go ahead.
No, I'm surprised to hear you say that because, in my opinion, just give me a chance. If you got a chance, I feel like you're just as good as anybody else. You were one of the hottest teams at the end of the year. I don't think nobody wanted to play you guys the way you was playing at the end. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the year, in my opinion. I'm just go ahead.
So to answer that, you look at South Carolina athletics, man. If they could bump it to 32 teams, and South Carolina fans are going to talk trash the first time we ever make the playoffs. That don't mean anything. Talk trash when you win a championship. Talk trash when you make your first Final Four. Like why we celebrate mediocrity? If it takes being great to make the top 8, figure out how to be great. Why are we watering it down to give out more participation trophies so we can hang a banner that says we made the playoffs?
The top 4 teams who got to buy lost.
Yeah, but still,
that's fine. But that's why I said so top 8. But if it's 12, even if we make the playoffs this year, say South Carolina goes 10-2 this year, we get as like a 10, 11, or 12 seeds, the state of South Carolina will burn under parties. It's going to be just to get blown out by somebody. Or then maybe we win. Maybe we win and we're the team that gets hot. Now, if we win a natty backdooring our way into the playoffs, I'll be like, man, expand it to 100 teams. I don't care. Let everybody play.
But there's a level to this, right, Coach? At least you got to start getting in. Then once you get in, then you want to start getting deeper. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you got to at least get in to give yourself a shot.
Yeah, be great. Be great. Be great and make the playoffs. Hey, be great and make the BCS air top 2. You know, and to my point, the reason why it frustrates me is in our history, we've had those opportunities. We were ranked number 2 in the country in 1984 and got beat late in the season by Navy. Like we've had teams that could have done it. We just can't get out of our own way. So you telling me we need to move the goalposts so little old South Carolina can still not get out of their own way, but can fall into the playoffs? I don't want to fall into the playoffs. I want to walk into that thing like, yeah, we here and we belong here.
Right. And I got a couple of things after I read Jason. Jason's saying that Sankey's even said, all this complaining about ACC and Big 12 people, it didn't even help that they expanded the playoffs, for the good of college football, because guess who won it? It was still the Big 10, or the Big 10 still won it, and it didn't help the SEC to expand. That's what they were saying. But my thing is, it didn't help the SEC to expand because of how they did the seeding. You know what I'm saying? Or the Big 10. Let's just say that, because you said, like, to your point, and I think what Jason said kind of goes into what you said, Shawty, how the top 4 teams in the playoffs, top 4 seeds, I ain't gonna say top 4 teams, top 4 seeds lost, but that's because the conference champions were automatically seated at the top. Whereas if we had kept the old system, Ohio State would have been in the top 4. You see what I'm saying? So then the top seed doesn't lose. So I think that's going to change this year, because they already said that conference champions make it, but they aren't automatically,
they're going off wherever you rank.
Right, wherever you rank. So we will still see those top 4 to 6 teams. Listen, man, I'm like Stat. I kind of want to go down to 8. I mean, you can expand it to 16. You can expand it to whatever. And Shawty, me and you talk about this. The same 6 or so teams gonna be there to find. Like right now, can you picture anybody other than Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, Bama, LSU, like Clemson? These are the same names that are coming up every single year. So it don't matter. I mean, yeah, like Stat said, it gives some of the fan bases of those schools to say, hey, we made the playoffs, so you can't tell us. Like now Tennessee can say they made the playoffs, you know what I'm saying? Not to be dumping on Tennessee, but now they can say, hey, we made the playoffs, you know what I'm saying? It's like, but it ain't the same as when you made the playoffs and it was just 4 teams, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
and that's the thing too. Tennessee finally made the playoffs and then got dog walked. Like, why even make the playoffs then? Like if South Carolina was to make the playoffs this year and then go on the road and get beat by
TCU made the championship and got dog walk. I mean, it's about matchups. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's so intriguing. I'll be honest with you. I'm for 8, but I like 12 too, because I think some of those 9-3 fringe teams can cause some problems. It's just about the matchup.
I could see that. Jay said it's only getting harder for the ACC and Big 12 to win it, because you can win 1 or 2 games and still ain't close to the natty. Right. Like the more you expand, that's like we go to 16 teams, you can win the first 2 games and still, you know what I'm saying, never sniff a national championship, but you can say you won 2 playoff games. You know what I'm saying? It's like ain't no NFL teams, fans hype about making the playoffs and losing in the first round every year. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I guess for teams that ain't made it, maybe, but
there's levels to it. Yeah.
There's levels to this thing, not for nothing. Like Georgia fans, we wasn't happy with the way we went out. We know it was some circumstance or whatever, but Notre Dame just beat us, but we didn't like that. We're like, well, we made the playoffs though. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had the show and we was talking about like how the aura was almost as if we had a losing season, and we really, given everything, had a pretty good season. But that's kind of it, like you said, it's levels to this. Go ahead, Stat.
I was going to say, the big thing is if they really want to make it matter, get rid of the auto bids. why if a team deserves to be in,
They are gone.
Not this.
No, not the auto
I'm
bid.
sorry, the auto seeding. My
Yeah, the
bad.
auto
Yeah,
seeding, not the auto bids.
why, so why should get rid of the auto bids if a team ain't ranked in the top 12? Enjoy the Fiesta Bowl or something. I don't know, but like it's not you because there's nobody that talks football that can say that they were picking Boise State, SMU, or Clemson at the end of the year last year over any of the three teams from the SEC that got snubbed. You would have taken all three of the SEC schools. They were so, but that's the thing, and so that's why it's like, do games really matter? So to the point of Beamer's point, do games matter, and how do we make games matter? Maybe we just don't play Clemson anymore because the game doesn't matter. The game means nothing, and I'll get a ton of hate for that. But hey, we won the last one. Whatever. Let's not play them anymore. Like,
go out on top.
Like, how do we beat you?
So, yeah, damn the rivalry.
And then you backdoor into the playoffs because you play in a weak conference.
All right.
Like
I get what you're saying with that one. You're saying like in a scenario, and I think that is a year by year scenario though. Like in the 2024 year, you guys beat them at their house, but then because they won a lesser conference, they was able to get in the playoffs, whereas you guys wasn't able to get in the playoffs. So, and they only had one more. Y'all only had one more loss than them. They was 10-2 in the regular season. Y'all was 9-3. So.
No, we were both
oh no, y'all both 9-3 in the season.
Yeah,
because they lost to Louisville. I forgot. Yeah, they lost to Louisville. I forgot all about the Louisville loss. So,
and let's not act like they went out and won their conference. They needed Syracuse to come back and beat Miami to get them into the conference championship. Like,
hey, tomato, like try to say. Okay. They say, nah, if I were Oregon, I'd have been pissed at Penn State getting games against SMU and Boise and then winning Big Ten. Mm-hmm. And get Ohio State, yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying. Like, it needs to be more objectivity. I don't know how we get there, but there's a lot of subjectivity, and I know they're trying to have a whole bunch of teams in it, and that's not good. Like expanding the basketball now, it's like it used to be the field of 64. We about to be at 72 now. I don't know what's going on. It's like it doesn't matter.
Taking away the auto seed and we'll address some of the issue that
that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm hoping for.
I got a suggestion for y'all. It'll never happen because the NCAA is money hungry. Maybe it's time to discuss getting rid of conference championship games and you have a regular season conference champion and then you just seed like that.
Now,
because if you get rid of conference championship games, now you're getting the true best 16 if you want to go down that far. Because there's not some random upset to bump somebody getting into an auto bid.
But think about this. Real talk, though, it could be I'm kind of to your point, that guy. But you got to understand, too, now, they're probably looking more likely to expand the playoff just from the standpoint of now, folks, they got to share a lot of this money. So they got to find ways to generate more money so they can keep for themselves.
Right.
They only got to share $20 million a year across all sports. That ain't a lot of money.
I get it, but it's
still some money now. Now to Jason's comment, strength of schedule has to matter. I think that's important, and that leads into the next question they asked Beamer was, what do you think 8 conference games versus 9? And Beamer, it's one of the answers that I really like from Beamer. Beamer said, "Listen, I ain't got a problem with 9 conference games," and he said, I think everybody could do that. He said, but let's just make sure everything's fair. He said, because us, Kentucky, Florida, and Georgia all play our conference games, but we also play every year because our rival is in another Power 4 conference. He said, let's make sure everything's fair. He said, I don't want to play 9 conference games and then we end with Clemson, Georgia ends with Georgia Tech, Louisville, and Kentucky, Florida State. He said, and then you got some of these other teams. And he almost, and me and Stat was talking about, he almost said cupcakes live on TV. He said, some of these other teams are playing, well, you know what kind of teams I'm talking about. And I'm with that. Like, I think honestly, I heard somebody on the radio say, and I think it's I don't know if you can work it out numerically, but if we're gonna play 12, if you want to like to the strength of schedule, because we already know the Big Ten strength of schedule and the SEC strength of schedule is going to vastly outweigh the ACC and the Big 12. So you got to have some kind of cross pollination here. So I think somebody on the SEC network suggested playing 8 conference games and then playing 1 game out of conference from each other conference. So if you play 8 SEC games, then you had to add in 1 Big 12 game, 1 Big 10 game, and 1 ACC games. Then you can really see some of these teams playing each other, kind of like they do in the NFL. You don't get everybody. So you don't, it's not like you get to play Clemson and Miami from the ACC, but you get to play one of them, you know what I'm saying? And that kind of, I ain't gonna say it levels the playing field, but it makes it a more realistic.
But get where, coach. Then they're gonna be mad call that. Then they're gonna be mad call like who getting the band this every year. You know
you do like they used to do with the old school cross rivalry between the East and West. You let Vandy and Northwestern play each other. Just take them off the table. Let them play each other. In the Big 12, I mean, the Big 12 is nothing but a bunch of Vandy, so it doesn't matter. But for like the Big 10, you let Vandy and Northwestern play. For the ACC, you let Vandy and Duke play. Have the Smart Bowl. Maybe they take an SAT test on Friday night. Who knows? But
I ain't never think about it, but that makes sense too.
Right.
So the big thing, and I really do like that because then it leaves you 1 in-state game for a money game to help a smaller program out.
Right.
And 2, the other point Beamer made was the next 6 years, up until like 2032, I believe, we already have a second Power 4 game scheduled on top of Clemson.
Same as Georgia, right?
And
that was his point. His point was, everybody keeps saying the SEC need to add another game, add another conference game, but there's at least 4 or 5 teams that already have a built-in rivalry with a Power 4 team, which is like playing 9 conference games, and you have some of those teams plus more going out getting like the Big 12. I mean, they said today the Big 10, all but 3 of the teams in the Big 10 play home games in the first week. Like, how you do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, well, LSU goes on the road, play Clemson. Clemson hosts LSU, but 15 of your 18 teams playing home games. So it's like, unless we get some kind of like cross conference, kind of play, and that has to be guaranteed, it ain't going. And even that ain't 100%, saying fair. But I think it's more realistic than kind of what we do now. Instead of having I think every conference should have to play 8 games and then play 3 games and 1 from each conference, and that would be a better schedule. Even if you draw Mississippi State, and we know Mississippi State ain't that good. Who knows? The year you draw Mississippi State, they might be Dak Prescott good. I don't know. I mean, the year you draw Illinois, they ain't historically great in the Big Ten.
I'm gonna take my chances. That's once in every 40 years. I take my chance with Mississippi State.
But even though you look at a school with like Penn State or say Kansas State or Texas Tech, who thinks they have a shot at the playoffs of the Big 12, you look at a school like that, maybe they draw South Carolina. They have to come to Columbia the week of the state fair, so it's a guaranteed night game, and we're coming off a bye. Like, those are just the thing. The stars can always align. Like, South Carolina, historically, you'd be like, oh, I'm taking Penn State or a team like that from the Big Ten. You talk about them coming down and having to play us at night. Yeah, now we're talking about different things. So,
right. Now, before we move on to Ole Miss, man, last thing. Sellers was one of the South Carolina players at SEC Media Days, and they asked him last year. You guys played under the radar, kind of not took people by surprise, but they wasn't expecting you guys to go 9-3, finish as strong as you did. He said, "Would you rather play under the radar or like this year? Everybody is expecting South Carolina to be good," and he said, "Play under the radar." And I get that, but how you feel like that's going to affect the team mentally this year, knowing like y'all not under the radar this year. Not saying that they expect y'all to win the Natty, but they definitely don't expect y'all to go 8-4. That ain't what anybody has called for in the preseason.
Yeah, I think I saw it. I think he was just giving a truthful statement because it is a lot easier to play when nobody's expecting you to do anything and everything comes as a shock. I think he's ready to rock and roll and lead the team. Now we already know we'll deep dive into South Carolina in the weeks to come, but we have some question marks on that football team. And so he's right though. I mean, everybody would rather be under the radar. Even y'all as Georgia fans would rather people to be overlooking you because it's easier to be the attacker instead of the attacked.
No, we like the hunt. No, we like the hunt.
Kirby said we won't never be the hunted. But Shawty, what about you? You think this is going to affect South Carolina's season not being the overlooked team? Because they're not being overlooked right now.
I do. Just from a standpoint of now, we got a lot of film. We can game plan better. We know a lot more what to expect. And then it's also could be a point where South Carolina, I hope they don't fall in kind of to this situation, what I think we did with our quarterback, like Carson Beck. They put too much on a young man, get away from having a balanced attack. You know what I'm saying? Put too much on a young man, or he has some kind of sophomore slump. But one thing I will say this right here, you have to give Beamer some credit. Think about this. South Carolina going to go into a lot of games this season, and you can arguably say they got the best player on offense and defense.
Facts with Dylan Stewart. That is to Shane Beamer's credit for recruiting those guys, man. You know what I'm saying? And getting them developed, once they come. Now, Dylan Stewart, we know he was a little bit more ready-made, but like me and Stat talk about, Sellers has definitely come a long way in our opinion, since high school. So that's a good point, Shawty. But I think it's definitely going to be different this year. And that's a good point. I hope they don't. You need him to be Superman in certain situations, but you don't want him to have to be Superman for 4 quarters, all 15 minutes of each quarter. You know what I'm saying? So you want to definitely get out there and help him. So
let me ask y'all. Vegas has us at 7.5. Which you taking the over? You ain't gotta give me no total, but you taking the over on 7.5 for South Carolina?
I'm right there at 7.
I'm right there at 7. I'm at 7.
And it's not even based just on the team itself. It's and like you said, we'll deep dive in that into another video in the coming weeks. But you guys always top 10 hardest schedule. Always. It doesn't matter what year. It didn't matter that they took the divisions away. That's just what it is. What's going on, Sooner in Texas? We appreciate you getting in. If you're just joining us, man, we're talking SEC Media Days, Day 1, LSU, South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Vandy. So we're going to talk a little bit about Ole Miss, and then when we talk about Vandy, I'm going to open it up with one question, and that's probably going to lead it into the discussion to close the show. But Ole Miss.
One more statement for the South Carolina. I was shocked that nobody mentioned the game getting moved to Mercedes-Benz for the Chick-fil-A kickoff. Beamer did say that the Peach Bowl people do a good job of it, but as a Gamecock and as Lane Stadium being on my bucket list, I was not happy when the game got moved. I wanted to go to Lane Stadium and be under the lights.
But I think as far as W's and L's, you would take it in the Mercedes-Benz as opposed to at night in Lane Stadium. I'm just saying, I think you guys are the better team, but I don't think you want the hostile environment. You would take a neutral site.
And look, the fan in me wanted to go to Lane Stadium to see a night game.
Thanks. So, man, the third team that came out today, man, was Ole Miss, Coach Kiffin, Caden Lee, the linebacker T.J. Doherty, and I forget who. The quarterback Simmons. They all was there. Lane kind of reiterated some stuff Beamer talked about with the governing body in college football. He was like, he don't really. They both kind of was like, they don't care what who the governing body is, but they want some enforcement. Like Lane was talking about, like, the Rev Sharon, I think it was. He's like, yeah, but like, who's enforcing these things? You know what I'm saying? It's like they're making these rules, but who's enforcing it? Has the NCAA lost all enforcement power?
Pretty much so. I mean, they're like a stepfather. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know you there.
Right.
We know you handle you. We know you might pay the gas or you might pay the rent, but we don't really see you. You can't really tell her what to do. You know what I'm saying? We don't care where you sit at. We don't really care about you. So it's like, it's real talk, man. No, the NCAA at this point, honestly, man, they're just an entity that has still found a way to collect money. If it wasn't for, and I know the only reason they able to stay alive is because of other sports.
Right.
But football does not need the NCAA at all. Unfortunately, football is just still part of college sports and tied to the universities. That's the only reason they have to deal with the NCAA, but they're not needed at all.
Stat, what you think about the Beamer and Lane Kiffin sentiment that, are we going to get these things enforced? You know what I'm saying? They say, hey, now it's the 20, what is it, 20 million in revenue or whatever, rev share. Is it going to stay that way if somebody gets caught drawing outside the lines? Like, is the NCAA going to be right? Is the NCAA going to be able to enforce it? That's kind of just what they're saying.
I don't trust them, because even if they act like they enforce it, they're going to give somebody a slap on the. I mean, look what they did to the Michigan coaches that were known to be involved in that scandal. Just 2 games, 4 games. Like, how do you have your head coach suspended 3 times over a 2-year period, but don't get a bowl ban? Like that. If the head coaches are doing something to get suspended 3 times over a 2-year period, maybe you need more than just a little tap on the wrist. But I don't trust them. The NCAA looks out for their checking account, and they figure out how they can hurt the kids. They'll suspend a kid in a heartbeat. They won't approve a kid's eligibility in a heartbeat, even though the papers are sitting on his desk. But yet they'll get proof of something like this, and they'll overlook it because probably they're getting their pockets lined too off of this.
Right. That's my sentiment. I think the NCAA, like Shorter says, that step, dad, but they're just in charge of that gas bill. That's eligibility. You know what I'm saying? That's really the only time you ever hear about the NCAA.
It's just a clearinghouse.
Right. It's the eligibility, whether it's coming out of high school, whether it's applying for your, 5th or 6th year, like South Carolina is waiting on. I'm surprised nobody really touched on that with today with Beamer. I think he touched on it. Was the running back still waiting on the judgment from NCAA? It's like, what we doing here? You know what I'm saying? It's like, and that's kind of what Coach Kiffin was getting at. He was just, like I say, reiterating what Beamer was talking about. Like, when is the enforcement going to start? If it's going to start at all? And it's like, he's like, I'm cool with whatever rules y'all give me. Just make sure somebody there to enforce those rules. But
and how do you do it? That's the thing, though. How? How do you stop the bag, man? You can't.
You can't stop the bag, man. Though you can't stop the bag, man.
You find out about it if you have proof of a bag man. The school's just banned from the playoffs for until you
death penalty off the muscle.
Bam, you death penalties. Not even a true death penalty, but
for the year. Yeah.
Every sport. Like, if one sport breaks the rules, all your sports are done.
What? You can't punish all them kids like that.
Dude. Hey. That's what I'm saying. If you want to, because the thing is, with how things are changed, if they're cheating with NIL, it's no longer a sport by sport thing. It is a university culture problem.
Because the volleyball player got an extra steak dinner and an extra $1,000 and got caught. You gonna ban the whole football team and basketball team for
everybody? Everybody.
We don't need to let
it's level to this thing. Stat, you know what I'm saying? Level. You can't do that.
But the reason why I say that is because I have the fix to the problem. You know what the fix to the problem is? Pull NIL off the table for 2 years, rewrite it with real rules the way it should have been before, and tell these kids that when the local State Farm calls and wants to put them on their brochure, they can get paid for it. Because that's why NIL was created. So players could sell their merchandise, sell their jerseys, and be in commercials. Not for the school to be like, oh, I can give you $5 million and it's okay now. That's not NIL. So if that's what they want to do, if you just want to pay your players, that's fine. Pay your players. Just enjoy not playing in any postseason in any sport.
Stats say death to them all as far as the seasons go, the athletic seasons go for a year. So with that said, man, Coach Kiffin also, they talked about today, Coach Kiffin's tied for third as the most tenured coach, third most tenured coach in the SEC. Stoops at Kentucky has been there since 2013. Kirby is second since 2016, and then you have three that's been there since the COVID year 2020, which is Pittman at Arkansas, Drinkowitz at Mizzou, and Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. Is this a make or break year for Kiffin, stat guy, or where do you think he sits with the fans? Is he good as gold? What's going on, Brinsky? I got Brinsky in the chat. Appreciate you tapping in, my guy.
I wouldn't say good as gold. There is a path to them having the type of season that could have the waters hot in Oxford heading into 26.
Okay.
I don't see that path happen. Like, a lot would have to go wrong for that to happen. I also think that they're not going to have the year that their fan bases want them to have. And maybe that leads to some talks heading into next year. Because I believe they kind of think playoffs are bust every year. And I know he does good getting all these kids out of the portal to gel together. I don't think they're as good as they were in previous years. And you still have to hope that the kids gel together just to be as good as you can be. So I think their ceiling this year is not as high as previous years, which keeps them out of the playoffs unless they overperform. And I still have them underperforming what their ceiling is.
So being, tied for third most tenured, like they talked about at SEC Media Days, plus, they coming off of a pretty good season. You think he's safe for a good while, Shawty, or is that sandwich kind of getting stale?
No, I'm gonna say this right here again. We was talking about levels to things, right? So let's put things in perspective. We are talking about Ole Miss here.
Okay.
Lane Kiffin comes in 5 straight bowl games, 44-18 in 5 seasons, 3 10-win seasons. So, I mean, just for Ole Miss, like y'all always say, for Ole Miss, that's sneaky good.
Facts.
So I think and I agree with everything that guy pretty much said. To his point, I do think, they take a step back. But I think Lane Kiffin has enough money in the bank based off what he's done with that program so far that he'll be okay if he has like an 8-4 year kind of thing like that and miss the playoff. I think he has enough money in the bank to be okay. But I will say this right here. There's a thin line between Ole Miss receding back to their old ways or staying at that 10-win, possibly making the playoff if this quarterback is as good as I think he is. Because he looked good last year in cleanup duty when I saw him.
Right. Simmons, I'm definitely on him as far as breakout candidate for this season. Lane's gonna draw it up on offense. They got the guy Caden Lee at wide receiver. He's throwing it to. The question is, can they have that? They was top 5 in offense and defense in the nation last year. Yep. I mean, a lot of that was vastly due to Prince and Mamiel on the line, Walter Nolan on the line, getting pressure on the quarterback, while Trey Amos as a corner was, patrolling the airways. They lost all 3 of those guys to the draft. So I'm not saying, Lane's been a portal king, since he got to Ole Miss. So I'm interested to see who's gonna step up in those stints to replace what that production does. I think Lane Kiffin is safe, like you say, with those 3 10 wins, like you talking about Ole Miss history. Outside of going all the way back to Arch, what I'm saying? It's like 10 wins 3 times out of 5 years. Yeah,
you the best thing since sliced bread.
Facts.
I will say too that they're not far removed from 500 being a good season. And who on that board of trustees is going to come up with the great idea to fire Lane Kiffin? And who in the heck do they think they're going to hire that can do just as good or better? Because that's the other thing.
That's willing to come to Oxford. That's willing to come to Oxford. Right. Right.
Now, if you want to get wild, I'll give you a name. I'll tell you who, if I'm on that board of trustees and they're like, hey, we thinking about firing Lane, I'd be like, guarantee me we can get Brown from Syracuse and y'all can fire Lane.
But see, they ain't gonna be able to do that because he's a Philly kid, so he ain't going.
Coming,
yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. But unless you can make a splash like that,
but is that a better situation?
I wouldn't. I stay because I'm gonna stay in the ACC instead of coming down here to battle these dogs.
Especially with all I'm already doing. I'm already making noise. I don't think that's a better situation.
not for him, but that's what I'm saying. For
But
me,
that's
as a
that's the
former
only way
trustee,
he's saying
that's the
if they
only way
can
you're
get
talking me
somebody
into
like that.
fire lane. Is I need
Right.
somebody young with that kind of money to where you can sell me on it. If you can't sell me on it, then we just sticking out with Lane and enjoying.
If I were them, I'd go after Bobby Petrino.
Bobby Trent
Too, too
about
much
too old.
baggage.
I
Too
know
much
that's
baggage.
who I would go after though.
Well, he definitely gonna score some points. We know that. So, hey man, to close this thing out, man, we're gonna talk about. It's gonna be a little Vandy, little South Carolina, all in one. So, just to start out, man, I watched some of Clark Lee's presser. Dude definitely is confident in Vandy. He's a Vandy alum. You know what I'm saying? Played at Vandy. He's saying that they're trying. They know that he basically was saying that they know they're not one of these teams to be considered for the Natty. Every year, but that doesn't mean they're not trying to increase their wins every year. He made some statements talk about like I didn't know this. I know they had a better year last year, but he said they played in 8 1-score games last year. They was 4-4 in those games. You know what I'm saying? So he said we are just as close to 2-10 as we are 10-2. I was like, that's some realistic stuff, and I think to improve, whether it's be team, personal, whatever, you got to be realistic with yourself. And I think Clark Lee definitely does that at Vandy, man. And they asked him also, we always joke, but we say, Vandy ain't going nowhere for one, because they was one of the founding members, but for two, they hold up the academics for the SEC. And they asked him, with the new NIL era, does academics play as much of a part in recruiting as it used to? He said it still plays a part, but he doesn't think it plays as much of a part because he said, he still thinks some kids do choose Vandy for the academics, not as much as it used to because of that money. You know what I'm saying? If they can go to a different school that's on Vandy's level, maybe, I don't know, Maryland, you know what I'm saying, and get more money, they may choose Maryland, even though Maryland is a good academic institution. They ain't Vandy, you know what I'm saying? So he says that plays a part. You think that's the case, Shouty? NIL is kind of trumping not trumping everything, because people still got to recruit now.
Yeah, and I saw that interview, and if I'm right, I think he also mentioned that he think it may not be that way now, but NIL is kind of young, but it's gonna get back to that.
Right.
But just to that point, I'm gonna be honest with you. Everything he said, it sounds good. There was a lot of coach talk, but man, he kind of remind me of how we talk about Ghana sometimes. You want to talk about all the GPA, and you want to talk about graduation rate. Man, that got to do with arm strength and what I'm saying, like the real stuff. So when I hear a coach talk like that, what I'm saying, they let me know you're not a premier program, and you just
right.
and he's saying it, but he just saying it in such a way that he has to focus on other things as opposed to football. Right. And I think that's what that's what's hurting the program in itself. If you can't talk about football, man, ain't nobody studying all the other stuff. I don't want to hear about how you rally the guys. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Jason says he trying to counteract his quarterback's big mouth, talking about Diego Pavia. He did mention Diego Pavia. He said, as far as his aura, he said he's a light for the program. I think he's welcomed Diego Pavia and everything he said. I mean, it's kind of making Vandy relevant whether they winning or losing, you know what I'm saying? Because Diego Pavia is going to be in the media when he plays, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, it's not as high as Shadura, but like, think about it. Every week we was looking to see if Diego was going to do something else.
And that's what I'm going to say. But think about it. You know why we were looking for that? Just called that one game, called they beat Alabama. But if they didn't beat Alabama, we wouldn't even be worried about that.
And that's true, because they was ranked number 1 though. So it's
right. That's what I'm saying. That would gather that one game, because they still end up with 7-6.
But this is again what you say about Ole Miss. You got to go back these levels of this. So 7-6 at outside of the James Franklin era, 7-6 don't happen at Vandy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Stat. You think he was just like? What do you feel about Clark Lee's? So basically talking about everything but the field stuff.
Yeah. If I was, obviously some of this is going to change now with the $20 million payout to the players. My question to Vandy: how do y'all not have an NIL? You probably got more doctors and lawyers than any other university.
But those people don't care nothing about football. They ain't giving back. That's why I try to tell people, man, it ain't about your alumni having money. It's about your alumni having money and giving back to the program. Whereas Fran Tarkin didn't want to see Georgia do good on the football
giving back
field.
to the program. They just ain't giving to the athletic program.
Right. They give back to the school. They give back to the athletic. Right. They giving the new library, and then the money they get from bowl seasons and stuff like that, they done stat. And they finally upgrading their facilities because they built like a whole new sports complex. I don't know if it's finished yet. I know they was when I went up there in what is it? It was 2022 or 2020? Yeah, 2022 or 2023. So but I think it depends on your alumni, dog. Like them people they wasn't studying about football or baseball or whatever when they was there. They're not thinking about it now that they got a couple of million.
They didn't go to Vanderbilt for sports.
But to answer your question. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but I think you got it. You're gonna have a guy or two like that within a conference. I'm glad it's at Vandy and not other places, but he a Vandy guy. He gets it. Former fullback, like he's hard nosed. I'm hoping. I don't think Vandy can ever get elite or even to like winning 8 or 9 games every year, but we could potentially see Vandy to where Kentucky was kind of pre-Mark Stoops, where they can be a competitive 6-6 team, where maybe they're going 5-7 or 6-6 every year, but they're in a couple more games. Right. They're in like those 8-1 score games. I mean, if they can be in 8-1 score games every year, even if they turn into 2-10 every year, that's dope for Vandy. At least you win the football game.
Right. So to close this thing out, this is a question that I brought up the stat a couple of weeks ago. There's been a lot of fanfare about Sellers since in the offseason, rightfully so. You saw the dude do some miraculous things against Clemson and Mizzou especially. But there has been some fanfare about Diego Pavia, but why hasn't there been the same amount? Is it because he plays at Vandy, or is it something else, Shorty? Because if you look at the stats, we talking just numbers. Look at the stats; they're almost identical. Actually, Pavia threw for more touchdowns and less interceptions. They threw about the same amount of yards. I think the completion percentage was about the same. They both, did some heroic stuff in more than just one game to help their team win. And I would argue that, I don't even know if it's arguable. Sellers played with the better team. You know what I'm saying? So why isn't that same fanfare being given out to Diego Pavia?
I could keep it simple.
Because he go to Vandy.
We're not even Vandy.
What?
Just the record. If Vandy would have went 9-4 and South Carolina would have went 7-6, it'd have been Pavia it would have been Pavia nightmare. It'd have been everywhere hysteria. My
rebuttal to that is when you got to compare apples to apples. Going 9-3 at South Carolina is going 7-5 at Vandy.
Not, but just to my point about why he's not getting that kind of fanfare, it's just based off imagine if he would have went 9-3.
Right. But what I'm saying is the 9-3 didn't even get South Carolina in the playoffs.
But no, that's South Carolina.
Right. You just answered your own question. 7-5 is Vandy. They ain't go like 7-5 at Vandy.
I get both things can be right. Cause what I'm saying is, I don't care whatever school would have been. If Pavia was at South Carolina and he would have went 9-3, whatever school would have won nine games, yeah. I think that player would have got that kind of hype. I don't care where it been at South Carolina.
My thing is they made the same impact relative to their programs, is what I'm saying. Like, and that's and I think Sooner and Texas got it. Vandy just ain't sexy. So it's not like how
not at 7-6. Imagine a 9-3 Vandy. So think about it. 9-3.
I'll give you the real answer. The NCAA changed their rules to give Pavia an extra year of eligibility.
Yeah, he like
they
30.
Probably thinking he no, it's because he played JUCO a year. Like,
yeah, no, I'm saying he like 30 years old.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, I'm being facetious.
Like, so are you gonna hype up some dude that's been around the block 19 times, thinking he's gonna take another step forward, or like you said, the same guy? He was a senior last year. The same guy that was level for level with him, redshirt freshman.
Right.
So, and I think
I'm just saying,
not, but he's, whether this is true or not, Pavia is very brash. He's very outspoken. He's kind of the wild child, kind of got some of that Johnny Manziel to him,
Right.
where Lenoris is way more Tim Tebow. He speaks well, he presents well. And so whether right or wrong, I think that also plays a part.
What made me come up with that, what made me reach out to Stat about that was here in the upstate, there's a radio station. It's the flagship station for Clemson. They talk all college football, but it was a caller that said there was a debate about Cade or Sellers. And then the Clemson guys was like, if you just talking individual talent, like overall, top to bottom, athleticism, everything, then it has to be Sellers. Because they said, and he said, if everything goes wrong on offense, who do you trust more, Sellers or Cade to get you out of the jam? And they was like, Cade can't get you out of that jam if everything go wrong. And I was like, I immediately thought that's true. But if you think about Vandy, same thing with Pavia. If Pavia don't make plays, Vandy ain't winning. I'm sorry, I don't care who out there. It's the same. It's just it's in a smaller package and a less, like Sooner in Texas said, a less sexier school. But I get what you saying. If they had a went 9-3, he would have more fanfare. But I equate it to Vandy ain't going 9-3, even I don't care who out there. So going 7-5 I'll be honest with you, I didn't think Vandy should have went 7-5 last year. So I was like, he did just as much for his team and actually I think he did a little bit more because Sellers was aided by top 10 defense last year.
Think about what the coach said. If they would have had a couple of more things go their way, as opposed to being 7-6, it could have been 8 or 9. Well, he said 10-2, but
right. But then they might have been getting a little bit more fanfare. So I get what you're saying.
Remember, we looked it up because we were having this argument, and at first I was like, "No, it's got to be Sellers." But then we looked it up. Pavia won more games for his team.
He did. Like you saying, like who won the games? Like Sellers won the Clemson game. Sellers won the Mizzou game. But Sellers made winning plays in the other games while the defense actually won the game. You see, like when they play Oklahoma, the defense won that game. Sellers didn't have nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? Other than not turning the ball over. You know what I mean? But with Pavia, if Pavia don't win those games for them, they ain't winning nothing. That's just, you know what I'm saying? He's going berserk. So I'm interested to see, like Stat Guy said, he is older. He's a senior, getting another year. So I don't know if we expect him to get better. Whereas with Sellers, I think we expect Sellers to improve.
Let me ask you this, and I was thinking about this here because US Today put out a top 10. I think I put it out in the group chat.
The quarterbacks.
Yeah, the quarterbacks.
Yeah, they had DJ Latway number 1. Right.
So I'm just gonna just to this conversation we're talking right here. So they had John Mateer at like 6 or 7, right?
Right.
So you talking about a quarterback who hasn't played a snap in this league, he coming from a smaller school, right?
Right.
But you got him already at 7.
He was above Lenoris, wasn't he?
But I'm saying he coming to it above Lenoris, but he coming to a team that went 6-7 last year, right? Yeah. So what I'm saying is, will he get more recognition if he goes 6-7 this year at Oklahoma, or would have won more games 10-2 at Washington State?
10-2 at Washington State.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah. So, because if you put up the same exact numbers in your record is, because they expect Oklahoma to do better than 6-7. So it's not gonna mean much if you don't, win a lot of games at OU.
Right. But here's the rebuttal to that, though. If you pass for 3,200 yards and rush for another 1,000 in the SEC, or you do that against the Mountain West, you're going to get.
If you do that, you ain't going 6-7. If you put up them kind of numbers, good chance your team ain't going 6-7.
But those are the numbers he put up. So if you're saying he put up the same numbers, but 10-2,
I ain't saying he put up the same. I'm just saying if he goes, I'm talking about from a record standpoint. If he goes 6-7 here, he could have went 10-2 there. Do you think he would have had better recognition going 6-7 at Oklahoma, or better recognition than 10-2?
The reason why I say Oklahoma is because I think he puts up the same stats in both places. He can put up the stats Oklahoma has other team issues that could hurt their record, not just his stats. I think he
Bro,
could have an amazing
he's
season.
not finna have 40, close to 50 touchdowns, and they win 6 games.
They would win more games, but Oklahoma's gonna be on Wednesday, and we're gonna carry that into that day.
That ain't gonna equate. That ain't gonna go
ask
together.
one question
We'll
back there.
have some.
Let me ask
We'll
one
have
question.
some. We'll have some Bama and some Oklahoma people on the show Wednesday, and we would. Sooner said, bite your tongue.
I'm just giving an example. I ain't saying they're gonna go. I'm just giving an example about records, and it don't matter
yeah. Better records get you better recognition, is what Shawty's point was.
I do have a Vandy question for y'all. Then, it didn't happen tonight, but a couple weeks ago, Pavia was on a podcast as he's making his summer world tour, getting his name out there. They asked him if Vanderbilt as a team has a game circled on their calendar, and he did not shy away and said there is one game that means more than all the rest, and it is circled, and it is week 3 at South Carolina, coming to Columbia at 7:45 at night. You taking them? You taking the Pavia train?
How many points I get?
Yeah,
it could be some caveats. Hey,
look, man, they ain't coming to cover. He said they're coming to win. They ain't coming to cover.
Well, you ain't say how many he taking. You asked us how many. I need some points and something.
I need some juice, man. I need a little juice on that bit, man.
I give you 9.5. You want 9.5?
No, I need a little more juice in that, dog.
Listen.
At night in Columbia, in third game of the season, it's gonna be like 1 billion degrees.
Yeah, this ain't the right time. This ain't the right time.
I give you 13.5. You biting?
Hey, can I before we go, can I address this comment with Jason? Cause this is before we get out here and we ain't on Hall of Fame, he won't cut me off. I'm so sick of y'all saying, look at Cam Ward. Man, you trying to tell me now John Mitchell is Cam Ward?
Listen, this is gonna make for some interesting.
I'm tired of y'all saying that like this kid is Cam. This man ain't nowhere close. I don't care about the numbers. I don't care about none of that. I'm talking about the film. This guy is not Cam Ward, man. I need to stop that, man.
And not for naught, he's also not coming to the ACC to play in the Cupcake Conference.
All right, so that could make a difference because he played less defenses. So, listen, we're gonna get into all of that on Wednesday. Y'all make sure y'all tune in every night. This week we are SEC Media Days all week. Tomorrow it'll be Respect the Hedges, but it'll be aired on the Fanatic as well, and Just My Damn Opinion. Me, Shawty, and the rest of the RTH crew will be back in effect to talk Georgia mainly, and we'll mention a little Texas, Auburn, Tennessee as
special guest too.
And we got a special guest, another DGD. You got to tune in tomorrow night at 8 p.m. to see who it is. And then Wednesday we'll be talking Alabama, OU, and we'll have Jason from Hall of Fame College Football in the comments. We'll have him on. We'll have. We should have Jonathan from Bama Fan Podcast on to represent the Bama contingent, and we might have Jay from Unfair Sports. Just depends on what all he got going on. Trojan Fight, what's going on? We appreciate you getting in, my guy. We just now wrapping it up, but don't worry. You can catch us the rest of the week every day, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because we covering all the SEC Media Days. So, and then we'll close the week out Thursday talking about a little Arkansas, Kentucky, Texas A&M, and Mizzou. So, hey, Sooner in Texas. Hold on, let me see. I got a little something for you, Sooner in Texas. Sorry, but you see this right here? That's an Earl.
Gonna get cold.
Hey, that's a Earl Campbell jersey right there.
Hey, look, Texas, we don't talk about second place team, man.
But yeah, we like Shawty say, man, that's about the most shout out there get right there. Hey, Earl Campbell's a legend, I can't deny it. But you're right. They don't matter until you're right. They don't matter until we play them. You are right about that, Sooner in Texas. We appreciate everybody joining in on Facebook. Just My Damn Opinion, Fanatic, my Facebook and Fanatic Facebook. And before we get out of here, we're gonna let Shawty shout out anything he got going on or anything like that.
Coach, you already ran it down, man. We'll be here all week covering the SEC Media Days, and of course we'll be with Tuesday night, tomorrow night with Respect the Hedges, our first show of the season. We will have a special guest, another damn good dog. So please check in to check that out. And I'm kicking back off with my damn opinion. I'm still a little swole, but I'm back in action, baby. Wednesday night, 9:00.
There it is. Stat guy, what you got going on, or any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, man. Hey, look, glad to finally be back full time. College football right around the corner. And if you don't know, you fixing to. Gamecocks versus the world, baby.
There it is, man. There it is. Week 1 is almost upon us in about 6 weeks or something like that. Crazy. And it is a jumping first week. I'm glad the dogs got a little cupcake. We can sit back and watch everybody else do a little film study. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. But y'all make sure y'all go jump on Just My Damn Opinion. Hit that like and subscribe. Turn on that bell notification because you never know when Shawty gonna pop up, man. And listen. Again, we're going to be here all week, 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking SEC Media Days. Make sure y'all tap in, man. We appreciate everybody. And as always, man, be safe out there. And let's go college football and go dogs.